Right, hey lads and lasses, welcome to Darts Coaching with Dynamite Dave. Little video today, not going to be too long. Number one, don't forget the raffle. So if you want to purchase anything like the board management sheets or the practice sheets, etc., the draw will be taking place in 3 days' time, isn't it? Because it's the 22nd today. So and the more you get in there, the more chance you've got of getting this month's prize. And this month's prize is a double bubble because we didn't have a draw last month. Like I say, with all these hospital appointments and what have you that I've got, I'll never let anybody miss out. So everybody from last month, everybody from this month is in like a big prize draw. But it'll be double, so we'll have 2 sets of darts rather than 1. Or something like that anyway. We'll make sure that it's worthwhile anyway on the 25th. Right, so back to the actual video itself. What I want to talk to you today about is just 3 little things that people who play darts, so players like us, never even think about. And what makes a huge and enormous difference to your game. And the first one, so number 1, is the board never moves. It's screwed to a solid brick wall or on a stand or however it's mounted, it never moves, does it? The only thing that moves is you. So if you're finding that you're inaccurate, video yourself and see if you're moving about, because you'll probably find, or I do, in between 85 and 95% of people who come here for coaching are wobbling about. Now, that is usually caused by standing on one foot and just putting either the end of your toe or the side of your foot on the floor behind you. That makes you incredibly unstable. Obviously, if that's the case, right, then what you're doing is you're producing a moving target. Not because the target's moving, because you are. That is very similar to trying to walk and shoot a gun at the same time. So if you try and use a rifle with a sight on it and walk at the same time and try and shoot things, it makes it very difficult because you're moving, not because the target is. Even if you're shooting against a can on a wall, try it. If you've got a gun or you've got a catapult or something like that, you try walking at the same time as shooting. Makes you very, very inaccurate. And that is one of the first things that people do, and they don't even realise they're doing it. They're moving all over the place. They've got lots of bits in the throw that make the body jump in the air, and it just makes them unstable. So that is point number 1. So let's go on to point number 2. Right, so point number 2. What's point number 2? Point number 2 is one of the most famous ones, again, that I come across, because people, when they come here, do a multitude of things. Everybody's different, so it's usually different things that they're doing that is weak, shall we say. And one of the biggest things, apart from the unstable stance, is the serving hand. Now, how many of you guys out there even think about your serving hand? I bet it's very, very few. There'll be dedicated fans of mine who will understand this perfectly well, and they will actually concentrate and think about the serving hand to get that right. Now, how important is the serving hand? It's extremely important for the simple reason is, think about this one. How many times do you take your dart out of your serving hand and it's not right in your hand and you end up fiddling with it before you throw it? Once you start that fiddling process, your darts are not going to be as accurate, because what it does, it takes your attention away from the target. So you're concentrating on putting the dart right in your hand, and then when you come to throw it, it just doesn't go anywhere near where you want it to, does it? So you need work on your thing, on your serving hand. How are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to make you a video very shortly. So I'm going to make a video about these first 3 pointers, and then what I'll do is I'll do another video with more pointers in it, and then the video after that will be how to correct them. So your serving hand, very, very important. There's quite a lot of players. Gerwyn Price went through a stage because his serving hand was weak. And if you go back and watch, I'd say probably once every 3 or 4 visits, he was dropping a dart. And the worst thing you can do, all right, he's fantastic, so he picks it up and then it goes in the 60 anyway. But you don't need that, do you? You don't want to be bending down to pick up darts. What you want is a good, strong serving hand. And then every time your dart comes out of the serving hand into your throwing hand, it's in exactly the right place for you to deliver that dart the same as the last one. Don't get me wrong, you will get it wrong every now and again. And if you don't practice it, you'll get it wrong more often. So it's a great one to practice this because you don't need a board or anything. All you need is your darts. Right, and your third and final tip for today is one that is quite simple, but a lot of people really don't understand. You'll see a lot of the professionals, and that's entirely up to them. And if you want to do it, it's entirely up to you. But the best place you can stand on the hockey is in the centre. The amount of players that come here, and it's probably a little bit lower than the others, it's probably around 45 to 50% of the dart players that come here, they set themselves up wrong on the hockey. They're right over to one side or they're right over to the other. The problem that you've got with that is it's the same as the moving board. Obviously, the board doesn't move, you do. So, if you think about it, right, if you stand right over on the right-hand side of the hockey, then you're lining yourself up with a double six, or maybe even further beyond that. So when you throw at the double six, it's X amount of centimetres away from your hand before the dart hits the board. When it hits the bullseye, let's say just for instance, that bullseye is 10 centimetres. It's more than that, but let's just say, just for saying sake, just for theory, it's 10 centimetres from there to there. Right? So if it's 10 centimetres from there to there, if you're going for double 11, it's double the distance, isn't it? Regardless of which way you look at it or how you try and calculate it out, that double 11 is twice the distance from there to there, from there to there. So from there to there is double the distance from there to there. It's quite basic maths and logic, innit? So you're in line with double six. If you throw for the bullseye, it takes a certain amount of arm speed and a certain amount of aiming, doesn't it? If you go for the double 11, you're actually going further away. So what will happen to you, and this is an absolute fact, this, is you'll throw for that double 11 and your darts will go low. Because it's further away, that dart has to travel a further distance to the actual number itself than it would do if you were stood in the centre of the hockey. And that is why I always teach to my people standing in the centre of the hockey. So this one, obviously, I'm giving you the answer while I'm actually explaining what goes on. For the simple reason is, other than that, it won't make sense. Right? So that's why I'm doing that on this one. So if you stand in the centre of the hockey and you're absolutely bang on in the centre of the hockey, so your throw line, your straight down the line throwing, is right down this line here. Think about it. It's exactly the same distance to there as it is to there. So the throw remains the same. It's exactly the same distance from there to there. So the throw remains the same, doesn't it? It's exactly the same distance from there to there. So the throw remains the same. And top to bottom, we do that by adjusting. This is what, because I always go off what I find, and I've coached so many people, it's unreal. Can't even remember how many people I've coached. And the thing is, right, is the whole emphasis of the Dynamite Dave way is logic, common sense, body mechanics. It's all provable. Everything that I do is not, I feel it should be done this way, I think it should be done this way. It's all provable and it's all bang on because it's all set in science, logic, engineering, body engineering, obviously, and common sense. It just makes sense if you think about it. Right, if you have your throw and your throw remains the same no matter where you're going for, all it takes is a difference in aim, doesn't it? And all you're doing to aim is moving your body, and it's literally that. It's not like a massive movement where you've got to do all this. It's literally a tiny bit. So all you're doing is looking at every different target exactly the same. So every target you throw at, you're looking at it exactly the same. You're using the same arm speed. All you're doing when you're coming up the board is you're actually bringing yourself up to look at that target exactly the same. So you're coming up to look at the target, you're coming down to look at the target, you're coming across to look at the target, unless you've got 3 in hand. And then it's a choice then. I move across the hockey to leave myself a dead straight throw, and then it's brain out, bang, straight in. So those are your 3 tips for today. So I hope you found this video entertaining as well as informative. The great thing with the Dynamite Dave way is, all right, a lot of people turn around and say, well, I only adapt bits of it. I've tried this out. The stance suits me, this, that. If you put the effort in and do a total rethink, no, don't start that. Right, so that's today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it entertaining as well as informative. And what I'll do is, over the next few days, I shall make the video about I'll do the video about the board never moves, only you do, and the serving hand. Now, the serving hand and the board only move. Oh, bloody hell. Right, so that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. Right, so that's the end of the video. Hopefully, you found it enjoyable, entertaining, as well as informative. And over the next few days, out will come the video about the serving hand and the board never moves, only you do. So look forward to that video. I'll get that out hopefully over the next couple of days. Don't forget, and this is absolutely imperative, is that you get the mindset of you will only ever get out of this game what you're prepared to put in. And always, 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 toe to the hockey!